We would like to solve the trigonometric equation 2 cos squared x is equal to cosine x plus 1 for values of x between 0 degrees and 360 degrees. We begin by moving the cos x plus 1 from the right hand side onto the left hand side, thus obtaining 2 cos squared x minus cosine x minus 1 is equal to 0. This resembles the general form of a quadratic equation, which is ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0, which means that 2 cos squared x minus cos x minus 1 is equal to 0 is actually a quadratic equation in cosine x. It can be factored as follows. To obtain the 2 cos squared x, we multiply 2 cosine x by cosine x. That will give us back 2 cos squared x. And to get back the minus 1, we have to multiply positive 1 by negative 1. The positive 1 will go in the first bracket and the negative 1 in the second bracket, because when we apply the distributive law and expand the brackets, we will get 2 cos x by cos x will give us back 2 cos squared x plus cos x minus 2 cos x gives us back minus cos x, and of course plus 1 by minus 1 gives us back the minus 1. At this point, whenever two factors multiply to give a product of 0, either one or both of them must be equal to 0. So at this point, either 2 cos x plus 1 is equal to 0, in which case 2 cosine x is equal to minus 1, cosine x is equal to minus 1 over 2. Now this negative sign in minus a half is significant because it tells us that we want to pick up solutions where the cosine function is negative, and cosine is negative in the second and third quadrants. So the first thing we have to do is calculate the reference angle alpha. Reference angle alpha, and that is equal to cos inverse of a half. Notice a half, not minus a half. We take the absolute value whenever we calculate the reference angle alpha, and in this case cos inverse a half is 60 degrees. The minus sign here in cos x equals negative a half only tells us which quadrants we're going to pick up solutions from. Now that we know that we're going to pick up solutions in the second and third, so I will just draw the 4 quadrants to remind you where cosine is negative. All school teachers care. That's the mnemonic I use to remember the quadrants. So cosine is positive in the first and fourth, and therefore negative in the second and third. So we put our reference angle in the second and third. The reference angle, of course, is always with reference to the horizontal axis. So in the second quadrant, this is the angle that we're going to pick up here. So that's 180 is a full semicircle minus 60. So x is equal to 180 minus alpha in the second quadrant. That's 180 minus 60. And in the third quadrant, we're going to pick up this all the way around there. So that's a full semicircle, 180 plus 60. So the angle in the third quadrant is always 180 plus alpha. So x is equal to 120 or 240 degrees. That's the solution for 2 cos x plus 1 equals to 0. Now we need to solve for the other factor equal to 0. Cosine x minus 1 is equal to 0. So that means if cosine x minus 1 is 0, then cosine x is equal to 1. And we know from our knowledge of the cosine curve, yes, this is y is equal to cos x. Good. Cosine x is equal to 1 where x is 0 and where x is equal to 360 degrees. So 0 degrees, 360 degrees. And those are the two solutions for cosine x minus 1 is equal to 0. So we now have our full solution. X is equal to 0 degrees, 120 degrees, 240 degrees, and 360 degrees. So we always write them back in ascending order. And this is the full solution. X is equal to 0, 120, 240, or 360 degrees. Thank you.